They say every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you. If you're reported for any corrupt practice, you'll be investigated, prosecuted, and punished. Corruption is harmful to our nation. Join the campaign against it by reporting any corrupt practice to ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Let we join hands with ICPC, make them better.
Let's make Nigeria great again.
ICPC, they want you.
Come on, and for corruption.
Break the chain of corruption now. Don't give, don't take. This message is brought to you by ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Why do citizens pay tax? Tax is the most important source of government revenue. Tax money is needed to run the government, pay salaries, provide infrastructure such as roads, schools, hospitals, etc., and fund many types of government programs that are meant to improve the lives of citizens. Here in Nigeria, over the years, because of the availability of revenues from other non-tax sources such as oil and other mineral resources, governments at all levels have allowed corruption to thrive in the tax administration system. According to the 2010 United Nations Economic Commission for Africa UNECA report, and I quote, "The combination of tax evading individuals and companies and corrupt tax officials are the major drain on the revenue of many African countries." Today on Corruption Must Go, we shall be looking at corruption in the tax system. How do we address corruption in tax administration in Nigeria? Also in this edition, we shall bring you anti-corruption stories, drama, ethics and values, and many more exciting segments. Welcome to this week's edition of Corruption Must Go, a production of the Public Enlightenment Department of ICPC. My name is Murna Barnabas Atiai.
Corruption not in my country.
That was a very good business.
Yeah.
The furniture you brought was very perfect.
That's how we roll.
Because let me do you receipts.
Yeah. How much of it again?
1 million naira.
Okay, write 2.5.
Mbano. The deal was for 1 million naira now.
Okay, write 3 million. I'll give you 500.
Oh no, I don't do business like that now. Yeah.
In that case, give me back my check. Let me go and look for one that understand business.
Take.
Your loss.
But it is only for incorruptible customers. What are you talking?
Now get out.
What kind of this?
You will just die.
No,
You will die.
That is the door. Now get out from here.
Rubbish.
Look, my people, make we only add money for original invoice price. That's not corruption. Say no. Not in my country. Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
You're watching Corruption Must Go. ICPC inaugurates a new anti-corruption unit members in Federal Polytechnic Bida in Niger State. Joy Aja brings us details.
In line with the corruption prevention drive of ICPC, the rector of the Federal Polytechnic Bida, Niger State, Dr. Abubakar Zukogi, has announced the curtailment of the activities of admission racketeers in the school due to an admission software installed by the management. Zukogi was speaking during the inauguration of members of the Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit of the school in Bida, which was conducted by ICPC. He also revealed that a procurement directorate had been established to curb corruption in contract awards and executions.
Corruption is dangerous to any country and to any system, and whatever we can do to wipe it out, we should endeavor to do so. And it is in this line that the management of this institution, under my leadership, has taken measures to make sure that we have zero tolerance in this institution. I want to give one simple example. Before I came in as director of this institution, there was nothing like procurement division or procurement directorates. And year in, year out, or anytime we found ourselves, either before the National Assembly or in other places in Abuja, this question will be thrown to you or to us, so to say. Because when you talk of anti-corruption measures, you have to make sure that due process is followed in all the things we do here.
The representative of ICPC, Mr. Justin Kwatsier, urged the acting members not to allow the new position to get into their heads, adding that they should key into the anti-corruption reforms of the rector.
The unit has been in existence in this institution since the year 2013, and we believe that it is being seen by all as an essential ingredient in advancing the lofty goals of achieving transparency and accountability in an institution such as this. With the reconstitution of its membership, it is hoped that the management of the Polytechnic will continue to give its full support for the unit's operation, especially with regards to funding and its inclusion in all relevant standing committees as observers.
Chairman of the unit, Mr. Akogun Fatai, who responded on behalf of the group, assured that ACTU in the school would continue to remain true to its establishment tenets. Mr. Fatai also solicited the support of the institution and all staff to enable the unit deliver on its mandate. I'm Joy Aja, reporting for ICPC.
In another development, ICPC secures 127 years jail term for federal pay officer. Ruth Awadi takes us through this conviction.
An Ogun State High Court sitting in Abeokuta has sentenced a federal pay officer, Mr. Lawal Wilson Olusegun, to 127 years imprisonment for diverting 103 million naira meant for infrastructural development and meal subsidies of 3 federal government colleges. The convict was charged before Honorable Justice Olatokunbo Majekodunmi by ICPC on a 24-count charge bordering on abuse of office and embezzlement of public funds. The commission in the charge sheet accused the ex-pay officer of embezzling funds meant for feeding of students in Federal Science Technical College, Ijebu, Imushin, Federal Government Girls College, Shagamu, and Federal Government College, Odugbolu. He was accused of conferring corrupt advantage upon himself when he diverted subsidy monies through his company, SOG Best Concept Nigeria Limited, to his personal use without any authorization, contrary to and punishable under Section 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. He was also charged for fraudulent acquisition of property, contrary to and punishable under Section 12 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. The court found him guilty on all the 24 counts and then sentenced him to 5 years in jail for counts 1 to 20. Justice Majekodunmi further sentenced him to 7 years imprisonment on counts 21 to 23. And another 3 years on count 24 for violating section 456 of the Criminal Code. All the sentences are without options of fine. Before his arraignment in 2016, ICPC had recovered 56.1 million naira from the accused, which was then handed over to the representatives of the 3 affected schools. The trial judge, while handing down the sentences, said they would all run concurrently. I am Ruth Awudi, reporting for ICPC.
This is Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. In a 2016 PricewaterhouseCoopers research on the impact of corruption on Nigerian economy, it was found out that the rich pay a lower proportion of their income in tax. This report concludes that countries with higher corruption are associated with lower tax revenue as a percentage of GDP. How do we address tax evasion and stealing from government coffers by public officials?
So let us begin from the reason citizens pay tax. Why do citizens pay tax?
Every responsible person in the society is expected to meet your own quota to ensuring that that society is conducive for you, your family, and others. You need to do something about it. That expectation in Nigeria, to ensure that there's no doubt about it, is put in the 1999 Constitution as amended. If you don't mind, I'd like to read section 24, what it says about citizen and tax. So 24 of the Nigerian Constitution talks about the duties of the citizen. And in paragraph D, it says, it's a duty to make positive and useful contribution to the advancement and progress and well-being of the community where he resides. Then paragraph F, section 24 says, as a citizen, it's a duty to declare your income honestly to appropriate and lawful agencies and pay your tax promptly. That obligation is further enforced by various tax laws. Citizens need to pay their tax. And tax laws prescribe stiff sanctions for a breach. So, in summary, you want a good society, you need to pay your tax. The experience in Nigeria is that tax compliance gap is huge. It's worse in some kind of taxes than others. For example, in the personal income tax, the tax compliance gap maybe is like 90%. That means 90% of people are not really compliant with their personal income tax. VAT, maybe like 80%. That's how much VAT is out there that is not being complied with. Company income tax, maybe like 70%. That's why we have this low tax to GDP rate of 6% for Nigeria, while neighboring Ghana has over 20. And so it's our duty and obligation that we want a good society, we need to pay our tax and contribute our share to making the environment, the country a better place. Government need money. In Nigeria, the money that we need for development comes from two major sources. I don't think it's only oil. No. Tax has become increasingly, a big major player in government revenue. And so if you don't pay, that means government has not enough money for goods and services that are required to make life better for us. Roads, hospitals, good schools, and all that we love about other countries. So we should pay our tax.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Looking at the statistics you gave, how can tax evasion be addressed?
For the sake of the listening public, what is tax evasion? It's a willful act where the person in essence under the law means a human being or a corporate person, willfully fails to pay taxes that are due fully and on time. It's a willful act. Now, we see that manifest in various ways because you need to know the nature of the problem before you can address it. Tax evasion manifests right from failure to register for tax. It is said that about 14 million Nigerians are registered for tax purposes. And economic activity, and for what we see, Nigerians are involved in economic activity that earn income, maybe about over 100 million. So there's a failure to register, low level registration. Then there's also a failure to even, when they register, file returns. You're supposed to file all kinds of tax returns, payee returns, VAT returns, withholding tax returns. There's a failure of people to file tax returns. There's also a failure to pay tax. All that is moving various types of evasion, but it starts with failure to register, then you don't pay your tax. Also, evasion, we see it manifest when businesses, they jack up their expenses to reduce profit and reduce tax. So that's the nature of tax evasion in Nigeria. How do we address it? Now, what the tax authorities, FRS and states have done over the years is, one, we have made a lot of effort to reduce the opportunity for tax evasion by deploying the use of ICT to drive tax administration. So, for example, we have what we call the VAT Collect, where in a number of airlines, as you're paying for your ticket, the VAT is swept to the FRS. We do that also in the energy sector and try to push for other sectors, so that you reduce the opportunity for someone to hold the money and for the person to divert it. So use of ICT to reduce opportunity for tax evasion, but also take a lot of initiatives to detect it. Regular tax audits that goes down to the records of the taxpayer to see if you have complied. So we are using detection mechanisms, but also take initiatives to deter. We do something about it. We use enforcement mechanisms. The tax offices, tax authorities, when there's a failure to comply, after many requests for the taxpayer to comply, can go in, seal the company's premises, and destroy the goods of the company to recover tax money. Then we'll also sanction. Sometimes, as a last resort, might take taxpayer to court and ensure that somebody goes to jail for that infraction. But also to ensure that those who have sinned can retrace themselves. We give amnesty. It will encourage those who have been evading tax to come. That's why we have the VAT, Roger said, income disclosure scheme. So those who have been evading tax have an opportunity now to declare all and pay their taxes and go and sin no more. So we use a number of initiatives and steps just to ensure that we deal with evasion.
So can you share with us some of the ways that we can address corruption in tax administration in Nigeria?
As we all agree, been said by our dear president, it's either we kill corruption or corruption will kill Nigeria. What corruption in the tax system does is that it bleeds the national treasury. There's a hemorrhage. Money goes away. Tax is money. It's cash, actually. You might not see it, but it's cash. Anytime there's a leakage at whatever level, whether at the statutory level or the hands of those that facilitate payments, it's an economic crime. And so it's something that everybody should be concerned about. What are the dynamics of corruption tax system? Who are the corporates? The taxpayers who don't want to pay tax encourage corruption. The tax officials who are nudged by the taxpayer because they don't want to pay anyway and got caught up in it. Those that facilitate payments, the banks, so part of it. Even, chief executives of private entities, chief executives of ministries, departments, and agencies of government, who, for example, actively refuse to disclose the full salary packages of their staff. And by so doing, instead of paying so and so amount, or as payee, refuse to disclose that their staff are earning so amount, they only declare the salary and don't declare the allowances, because the tax law says everybody must pay the tax on personal income tax on both salary and allowances. Who actively working with the accounts department, withhold, taxes from amounts to be paid to contractors or VAT for contracts and fail to remit or remit into a, account which is a government account. These are the realities and the dynamics of corruption in the tax system. As long as that happens, it means that less money goes into government coffers. And we all are, at the tail end of it, feeling the pinch. And so what have we done to discourage it? At the tax authority side, any staff of a tax authority found to be, liable to such infringements of law are severely sanctioned. People are put through the disciplinary procedures, and people will lose their jobs and are charged to court. Tax authority end.
What is the role of ICPC in the fight against graft, especially as it relates to tax evasion and fraudulent tax activities? We'll bring you the ICPC experience.
Section 6 of the ICPC Act that provides for the mandate of the Commission, particularly 6A, states that the Commission has the power to investigate and prosecute conspiracy to commit, attempts to commit, and actual committal of offense under the ICPC Act or any other law prohibiting corruption. Before the ICPC Act was enacted, the CPC and the Penal Code had provisions against corruption. As a corollary to that, Section 5, subsection 2 of the ICPC Act also provides that in the course of investigation, if it is disclosed during investigation that an offense has been committed under any other written law that is not under the Act, the Commission has the power to investigate, provided at the point of prosecution they have to notify the DPP. So these are the basis why the Commission can look into tax avoidance and corrupt practices that are related to tax matters. And when we look at Section 15 of the ICPC Act, particularly that provide an offense and punishment, it says that false statements and false returns is an offense and is punishable for 7 years. And to avoid tax or to evade tax or to get a forged tax clearance certificate, you need to submit a false statement or a false return. So these are the background of the ICPC law that covers our going into tax matters.
We should be reminded that without taxes, money needed for providing infrastructure and social services by government would not be available. It is the duty of government to ensure that tax administration is efficient, transparent, and devoid of corruption so that it can find resources to live up to its responsibilities to citizens. That's our package on this week's edition of the program. See you again same time next week. Bye for now.